PC エンジン DuoR は CD ロムマシンとしてハイコストパフォーマンスを実現。
パフォーマンス。
はい？
PC エンジン DuoR 新発売。NEC。
So it was never my intention to take 2 months off from the show, but I ended up having a lot of like home repair stuff that I had to do. We went around the house and just made sort of a list, you know, like looking at things mostly on the outside of the house, you know, like carpentry and painting type of stuff that needed to get done. But as many of you may know, if you own your own house, a lot of times what outwardly looks like it's going to be something easy, once you start picking away at it, turns into a much bigger deal. Like something that looks like it might be a small repair, once you start doing it, you realize maybe things were worse than you thought. So like I said, for the past 2 months, I've just been doing a ton of carpentry work, some stucco work, and then just painting on my house. And, you know, one thing is it really makes me grateful for the education that I got taking shop class in both junior high school and high school. I feel sometimes like I learned more usable life skills that I still use today in shop class than I did in any other class in high school. So shout out to my woodshop teacher, Mr. Lathrop. Anyway, that being said, it's finally time to get back to YouTube's hottest new show. And this was not originally going to be an installment in the Weekend Rental series. So I'm going to briefly explain sort of the original idea behind this video and then why it has sort of turned into a Weekend Rental video. A couple of years ago, I did a PC Engine pickups video. I don't remember the name of it. I think I did 2 PC Engine pickups videos. But in one of them, I mentioned that I had just gotten, I have it here. We have the Duo R down here today, by the way. I know usually I get lazy and I just use the Mister for this kind of stuff. But I did bring I brought down the Duo R, and that's kind of the reason behind the commercial I stuck at the beginning of the video. But anyway, I mentioned that I had gotten the version 2 Turbo EverDrive. Again, this was a couple of years ago. I know that now there's the Turbo EverDrive Pro, which, I mean, it looks like a cool device. I just don't think I really need it. But anyway, in that video, I mentioned that because I had that sort of living full time in the HuCard slot in my Duo R, that I was going to focus more on buying CD games rather than HuCard games. And I guess just sort of due to the realities of, you know, the retro gaming market, what's really happened is that I have not focused on really buying much of any games anymore. I guess I've sort of been, I won't say priced out of the market, but, you know, things get expensive to a point where it kind of sucks the fun out of the collecting. So, but anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. So anyway, one of the things I'd done back then is rewatched this video that Bithead had done maybe back in like 2016. And it was called something like the 10 cheapest PC Engine shooters. And I had already watched the video, but I went and I watched it again, you know, just to maybe get some ideas of some games that I might want. And as I said, he talked about 10 games, and I'm just going to briefly mention the 10 games that he talked about and sort of discuss my thought process of why I bought the 3 games that I did that he had discussed. So first of all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them were HuCard games. So those were immediately out because, like I said, I wasn't buying HuCard games at that time. Although he talked about Vieg's Tactical Gladiator, Dragon Spirit, and Deep Blue, which, you know, I don't really like to go negative on my show, but if I was ever going to talk about what I think is the worst shooter on the PC Engine / TurboGrafx 16, it would be Deep Blue. Anyway, I already have all 3 of those games. And then he mentioned Xevious, which, I mean, I wouldn't mind having Xevious, but, you know, there was an episode of Flashback where I talked about having that kid, Steven, whose grandparents lived across the street, and he would come spend the weekends there, and I would hang out with him. And I think it was the episode where I talked about John Elway football, because he had that game and we would play it a lot together. He had Xevious for the NES, and I just remember not liking it at that time. And, I think now, I understand kind of the importance Xevious has in like the history of shooters, but I'd be lying if I said I was that excited about playing Xevious. So I don't know how expensive that game is anyway these days, but I don't really feel the need to own a physical copy of that. And then the last one there was he talked about a game called Heavy Unit. And certainly nothing I saw in his video made me want to play or want to buy Heavy Unit. I did play it myself using the Turbo EverDrive, and that really made me not want to get Heavy Unit. So that's the 5 HuCard games. But again, I was more focused on CD games. And the 2 CD games that he talked about that I was not interested in purchasing, the first one is Super Darius. At one point, I had Super Darius. I think I sold it. I don't think I have it anymore. I'm just not really that into the Darius games. I feel like you're not supposed to say stuff like that. But with the exception, obvious in my opinion, exception of Darius Gaiden on the Sega Saturn, I think that game also came out on the PlayStation as a Japanese exclusive. Darius Gaiden is an awesome game. But like all of the Darius games, like the 16-bit Darius games, like on the PC Engine or on the Genesis, or Darius Twin, right, came out on the Super Nintendo. I get nothing out of them, so I had no interest in Super Darius because again, I don't believe I have that game anymore. And then the other one was Sidearms Special, and that's because I already have Sidearms on HuCard, so I didn't feel like I needed any of those. So. The 3 games that I bought, and maybe an important point is just for fun. First of all, I did not buy these games because I wanted to like make a video with them. But I also thought it would be fun to buy the games without playing them first. So sort of like, old school style. You could read about a game in a magazine and you kind of had to make your decision based on that. So, he showed a little bit of gameplay footage and then talked about the game. And I just felt like, okay, I'm going to buy these games just based on that without checking them out for myself. And the 3 games that I picked up, and actually, before I say that, sorry. So originally, the idea of this video was, it wasn't going to be a weekend rental video. It was going to be me talking about these 3 games. And I was going to do the thing you got to do. You play the worst one first. You save the best one for last. But the more I played these 3 games, it might not come through in my videos, but I actually do practice and play these games a lot before I make the video. I'm just not very good at video games, so how good are you going to get at them? And the more I played these games, the more this one, the one that's in the title and the thumbnail of the video, Avenger, the more it just stood out to me as like, I think this is a really, really great game that nobody talks about. And so I decided to just really make this a video primarily about this game. But we will check out the other 2 games. I'm just going to save them. We're going to check this one out first because this is the good one. And then for those of you that want to stick around, we'll talk about these other 2. And I'll talk about why I bought them when we get to the games. But just so I don't leave people hanging, it's Legion and Hawk F-123. It's really hard to find an angle that doesn't have a reflection there. Hawk F-123. Yeah, this game, I don't know about... This game is like very okay. This game's not a good game, but for some reason, I still have fun playing it. I would never recommend Legion to anyone. Hawk F-123, not a bad game. In fact, I would say sort of the traditional, as far as this show goes, meaning of weekend rental, Hawk F-123. He always called it F-123, Bithead. It's Hawk F-123. This one is very much a weekend rental game, whereas Avenger, I don't know, if you're somebody that maybe is trying to pick up some games, maybe you've got maybe you have a PC Engine Duo or a TurboGrafx CD setup, or maybe you have like an analog Duo coming in the mail whenever that happens. If you're looking for games that maybe haven't been haven't priced you out of the market yet, Avenger is something that might be worth your attention. So anyway, we're going to just get right into talking about Avenger first, and then we're going to play Avenger. And then after that, I will be talking about Legion and Hawk F-123, because I'm not going to make a separate video about those. Although it's funny, I said this all happened a couple of years ago that I probably bought all these games in like a window of like maybe a month or two, and they were all sitting on a stack on the shelf in my office upstairs, because I knew I was going to make some kind of video after I got all the games. And yeah, they've just been sitting in that stack for like 2 years. So this video is a long time coming. Okay, so first we'll talk about Avenger. Like I said, this game was published. I don't know if you won't be able to probably see it in the corner there, but it was published by Lasersoft. And Lasersoft was one of the various people describe them as like divisions online. Telenet Japan had all these divisions, but that makes me think it's some kind of huge corporate conglomerate. Really, it was probably just different groups of people working at Telenet, and they ended up sort of creating different names for those groups or different labels. Telenet, depending on like how vast your knowledge of old video games are, Telenet may or may not mean anything to you, but they released games under the names Renovation, Wolf Team, Riot, and Lasersoft. And as a North American gamer, especially if you had a Genesis growing up, you likely recognize Renovation and Wolf Team. There was, I don't remember the exact name, there was the Renovation that games got released at under here in the U.S., because it was Renovation Game in Japan. It was Renovation something else here in the U.S. And that kind of was a separate little group that Telenet put together. That was an American-based group that I assume localized and definitely published a lot of Telenet's games. And that group eventually got purchased by Sega of America. But again, if you were a Genesis gamer back then you should recognize the name Renovation, because it was under that label that we got on the Genesis. The Valise games, El Viento, Gyarus, Granada. Did I miss anything? I wrote them down. Oh, yeah, Soul Feast and Soul Dees, and Arcus Odyssey. And, I mean, that's not an exhaustive list, but those are, fairly well-known, I would say, Genesis games. And then Telenet also made the Cosmic Fantasy series, which we only got Cosmic Fantasy 2 here on the Turbo CD, but it was a whole series in Japan. But we did get here on the TurboGrafx CD Final Zone 2 and Last Alert. So anyway, Telenet themselves did develop Avenger, and then they released it under this Lasersoft name, which I think was a moniker they came up with for releasing games on optical media. But as we'll see in a second, I've got another one of these games that was at least published by Telenet, but not under the Lasersoft label. I was just going to say the game came out in Japan December of 1990, and if you did want to buy yourself a copy of this game now, you should expect to pay between $40 and $50, which is, I believe, this is the most expensive game that we're going to talk about today. Although, again, I've said this before, I'm really at a point where I don't recommend that people buy old games anymore. Like, I'm not sure that I think it's a good deal for the most part, unless you find some of these cheaper games. But I don't want to feel responsible for telling people to waste their money. So I don't know what exactly I want to say about this game before we start playing it. It's kind of interesting. Like, so the cover art there looks kind of like Airwolf. I think it's probably ripped off a little bit from Airwolf. It's sort of like this futuristic looking attack helicopter. But it's just funny because on the cover it's black, but in the game it's white. I don't know what's up with that. And then I don't know. I don't know if you call that a typeface. I mean, it's not a font because it wasn't made, on a computer or something. I'm sure this was probably hand painted, but that looks kind of weird. I like the cover art, but the way it says Avenger up there is a little bit bizarre. It's got a pretty cool intro cinematic, and I mean it's all in Japanese, but I mean the visuals are pretty cool. But basically, there's some sort of nuclear war going on. I read sort of a synopsis, an English synopsis of the plot that made it just seem like it was some sort of like, evil government or something starting World War III. But there's stuff, and again, I can't understand what the narrator is saying, but there's some stuff in the intro that makes it seem more like there's aliens involved. And the other thing I'll just mention now, I'm trying to minimize the amount of talking I need to do while I'm playing the game, is I think something that makes this game, I don't want to say unique because it's not the only game that does this, but I can't really think of another game that was out at this time that did it. As you move your ship to the left and right, it what is that, yaw? That's yaw, right? You have roll, pitch, and yaw. Yeah, it's yaw. It yaws to the left and right. So if you're moving towards the left side of the screen, your ship will tilt that way, and then your shots will go that way. And it's maybe at most 30 degrees each way. I didn't pause the game and get out a protractor, but something like that. And it's got an upgrade system that's a little bit different maybe than what we're used to. But I think that's all I have to talk about before we just get started. So yeah, let's check out some Avenger after 17 minutes of me talking. So I have to change the view on my monitor here and start. Do that. I got a lot of stuff here I got to do. Start the recording and turn on the Duo R. I've already got the CD in the system because I was, of course, in Cub Scouts and playing with the Avenue Pad 3 for no particular reason. You don't get any benefit whatsoever, which is too bad because the game, you have your fire button, obviously. You have a special limited use weapon, and then you can hold down a button so that you can strafe, so that once you've got your ship tilted, whichever way you want to be pointed, you can hold down the other button, and then as you move back and forth, you won't yaw back and forth. And so I feel like they should have used the run button. What's going on here, pal? There we go. Should have used the run button for the special weapon. But okay, so here you got these people hanging out in a mall. And then, oh my God, that's pretty graphic, actually. I don't know how much of this intro we need to really watch because, again, it's all in Japanese. But see, that's what I'm talking about. You got a spaceship. But I don't know if it's actually aliens. I mean, the game takes place in the future, so it might just be that. It has to load off the CD in between the cutscenes because it's actually using... wow. I mean, good Lord. Even though these are just sound effects, they're being loaded off the CD. So, that's why there's these pauses between the scenes.
Sekai ni 環太平洋連邦とユーラシア国家同盟という2つの勢力が第三次世界大戦の結果として生まれてからすでに半世紀以来2つの勢力は絶えず争い続けてきた SDI 防衛システムの発達によって核は最終兵器としての意味
So it's kind of interesting because they're talking about SDI and then showing those satellites, which I assume, I mean, back in the 80s during the Reagan administration, did they build it or they were just talking about building like the SDI was that Strategic Defense Initiative where there was going to be all these satellites orbiting the Earth to, I don't know if they could shoot down nuclear missiles or I don't know, but it was called SDI, although people called it Star Wars. And that seems like that's where the idea came for the plot for this game. And yeah, again, I mean, I'm gonna skip the rest of it. I can't understand what they're talking about, anyways. So, and then I haven't tried this yet. Somebody said if you press select at the title screen, which I just did, you get some kind of little Easter egg. Oh. That's, I don't know her name. That's the chick from Cosmic Fantasy. I mean, I have no idea what's going on here, but again, that's just, it seems like it's some kind of commercial, but I just pressed run to get out of that. But again, that's just from pressing select at the title screen, because there's no options or anything to set at the title screen. So we don't want to watch that again. This, I guess, important to note, you cannot play this game 2-player. So now we gotta wait. Okay, so now you get this kind of thing going on before every level. There's 8 levels in the game, but there's not 8 missions because the missions some of the missions take more than one stage to complete. So you get all this text, but if you just hit the run button, you skip it. And then here is where you configure your ship before every single stage. So unlike other games, you can't change your weapon in the middle of the stage by like picking up a different like power up drop. So and then this grid gets filled out more the more you get into the game. So like this is just the beginning of the game. We can choose between Vulcan, which they spell Valken, and rockets, which I think are pretty useless. We have no sub weapon available, and then the special is just ECM, which is kind of useless. Vulcan is my favorite weapon in the game. I don't change that, but the sub weapons as we move on in the game, there's different reasons for wanting to use different sub weapons. So I just hit the run button there, so we can finally get started. And one thing I should have mentioned, this game has auto fire, so you can just hold down the fire button. But if you use the turbo switches on your controller, you can get a faster rate of fire. And something else I forgot to mention now that I've gotten hit once. So this game, you only have 1 life, but you basically have like 5 hit points, if you will. So like down at the lower left side of the screen there is, I guess, the health of your shields. And your shields can take 4 hits, which is what those 4 segments are. And then once you have no shields left, that's when you can only take 1 more hit. So you can take 5 total hits without dying. And at the end of every level, you get your shields completely refilled. So really, I think that makes this game pretty easy because, most shooters are 1-hit death. And this way, it's like a 5-hit death. And then you get all your lives back, if you will, at the end of every level. So that makes the game very forgiving. You also have unlimited continues, although when you get game overed, you lose all your power-ups. So now we've got the Vulcan gun here is completely powered up. We can't power it up any farther. And if you saw, I didn't have time to explain it, but there are those white ships that kind of float down on the screen. And when you shoot those, they drop your power-up. But that power-up just switches back and forth between powering up your primary weapon, powering up your secondary weapon once you have one, and it will also give you back 1 of your hit points, which again, that's sort of analogous to just constantly getting extra lives. And you see how easy that was. So again, that to me makes the game very very forgiving. So that was the end of stage 1. As you can see, it's pretty easy. I've been playing this game quite a bit lately, so that helps. I have not yet beaten the game. I've gotten to the last level, which is a little bit of a chore, so I'm kind of stuck there at the moment. So another thing, I'm not going to do it, but you'll see in this, whatever you want to call this interface here, you can actually choose what you want to do next. I accidentally went past it. I don't want to change it anyway. If you just keep hitting the 1 button or you just hit run, you play the levels in a certain order. but it gives you the option like, oh, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? I don't really see the need to play the levels out of order, but I think it's cool that it gives you the option. So now here we're equipping our ship again, but now you can see under the sub weapon right here, we have homing. And so now there's homing missiles. So that's nice. And we're going to keep the Vulcan. There's basically 2 sub weapons that I use for the whole game. There's homing missiles, and then the next one, which we haven't gotten yet, obviously, is called the D-Wave. And you'll see what that's like when we finally get it. Already got a hit. This is the boss. You can't hurt him yet, but he just sort of poops out some bullets there just to be a jerk. See, here's the power-up ship. And now if we picked up that S for our secondary weapon, and now instead of shooting 2 homing missiles, we shoot 4. And at this point, the Vulcan gun is powered up as far as it's going to power up. And that's the only sort of power up you have for your secondary weapon with the homing missiles, is that now we're shooting 4 instead of 2, and that's it. So now we might as well wait until it says R again, and now we pick that up, and that's like a shield restoration. So you can see at the bottom of the screen that I got my lost hit point back. But now I just lost it again. If you knock out those control towers, it knocks out some of the other fixed weapons. One of the big knocks against this game, if you read reviews, people say the graphics are really bad, and I don't know, I just don't see it. Like, for sure there are certain levels where I would say that the backgrounds and whatnot are boring, like when you're just flying over dirt. But like, for example, I think this level has great pixel art, and that's the case with a lot of the levels. But most of the reviews of this game, I would say, are pretty lukewarm, between saying it's just not good or that it's sort of mid-level. The only review I could really find of it where I thought that the person was really complimentary was on the PC Engine Software Bible. All right, let me just take care of this guy real fast. There we go. Yeah, so the guy that runs the PC Engine Software Bible, Sun Team Paul, he gave it a nice review on there, and then they have kind of a 3... their rating system is either the best is buy it, and then there's try it, which is mid-range, and then there's avoid. And he gave this one a buy it, so that's pretty cool pixel art too. Those were good flames. So now, again, we're just going to have more story. I'll just hit run to skip it. So now you can choose between the homing missile and that D-Wave thing. I don't know what D stands for, but we're not going to use that yet. I have down in my notes here when to start using that, and we're not there yet. So we're going to leave our configuration the way it is. But there's a couple levels later in the game where I feel like if you don't use the D-Wave, you're putting yourself in a world of hurt, so you don't want to forget to switch. In this level, now we're in a canyon, so now you have to be careful about not running into the canyon walls. You lose either 2 or 3 shield segments if you hit the canyon walls, so, like, don't do that. And you have kind of these little domes that shoot at you. You have these walls that pop out that shoot at you. And then you have these big guns here that pop up and shoot at you. But your hitbox is small enough that, as you saw there, and if you didn't, then just pay attention next time, you can actually get in between the 2 guns and not get hit. Like, watch right there, see? And that's the easiest way to knock those guys out. And I think, like, with this level, I think it's worth it to be very aggressive. You know, I'm kind of staying in the upper half of the screen to try to destroy these gun emplacements as soon as I can. It doesn't matter if I pick that up or not, because I don't need anything. But again, like, I mean, I think the pixel art on this level, it's okay. There's 2 levels in the game where you're just flying over dirt. And those are boring, but that's 2 levels out of 8. And, I mean, I think the music in this game is pretty good. Obviously, it's you know, CD music. The controls, I think, feel very nice. I don't feel the need, really, to use that strafe function outside of the boss battles. All right, now this is the boss battle. Here we've got this submarine thing. And he kind of sucks because he will... Hold on. You'll see. Yeah, he shoots out those lasers. That's not fun. Uh-oh. Barely. I made that one by the skin of my teeth. You know, he shoots those lasers all the way around, and you have to be kind of at specific angles to not get hit. And I thought I was safe where I was, but I definitely wasn't. All right, so that was the 3rd level, right? So we have 1 more to go using the homing missiles before we change over to the D-Wave. And if you saw there, because I skipped past it, we could have changed the order of things there, too, if we wanted to. And now we've got another main weapon. We've got laser. Laser's actually a good weapon. If you get that one powered up, it's very powerful. It only shoots straight ahead. If you watch playthroughs on YouTube, the few that there are, it seems like people prefer the laser weapon. I like the Vulcan better, but I also say I'm not going to use the laser weapon because it sounds very annoying, and I don't think that's going to be pleasant to listen to while you're watching a video like this. And the rocket, a lot of people like the rockets. They are powerful, but you have a much slower rate of fire, especially once you get the rockets powered up. And I think that kind of cancels out the benefit that they have as far as being more powerful. So for me, I think you can play through this entire game with the Vulcan gun. Although I could definitely see where maybe in the last level, you'd be better off having the laser. So now I have all of these sort of like, I think the game actually calls this like the oil refinery level. I took screenshots of, you know, where the game will give you the option of choosing what you want to do next. I took screenshots of those using OBS and then plugged that shot into Google Translate to figure out what it was saying. And it called this like a oil refinery. And again, the best thing to do here is just to get in everything's face and just knock it out as fast as you can, just to limit the number of bullets that are flying around on the screen. Like those little guys, you can knock them out before they even get a shot off. You cannot with the oil platforms. But I mean, they only got off one group of shots, which is really not a big deal. Can ignore that. No, take it. I mean, it's funny because, like, I don't know how appropriate some of the music really is for, you know, for what you're doing, but it's just pleasant. Although I'd say, you know, it's funny because, you know, there's some games you play, CD games, where they've got the music turned up to the point that it can be hard to hear the sound effects. And then I feel like here you have the opposite problem where the music is pretty quiet compared to the sound effects. So this boss battle is pretty easy. You just stay over here, knock this, whatever this gigantic laser cannon is out, and then we can literally park it right there. And I don't even have to have my hand on the D-pad. So you're trying to shoot that thing in the middle when the doors open. But that cannon's not going to slide over far enough to get me. And whatever these lightning balls are that it throws out won't hit me right there. So that's kind of lame. It's a cool boss. It's just easy. I mean, I'm not complaining, but so then now we're going to go ahead, I'm just making sure down on my notes. So that was the end of stage 4. So now we're going to change over to the D-Wave weapon. And if the level is coming up that I think is coming up, the background of this level reminds me a lot of a level in Final Soldier, which of course I played. What was, I think when I did the review of that Micom Soft XE1 HE controller. So you can see now here on the sub weapon, we also now have another sub weapon. We have this gun pod. Useless, in my opinion. The homing missiles, for the most part, are great, but for reasons you'll see in a second, the D-Wave is where you want to be with this level. This level was giving me, I was having a pretty hard time getting through this level on a regular basis. The D-Wave definitely makes it easier, although I'll say we're at a point in the game where there is going to be the danger of me getting game overed. Because sometimes you can just have a bad run. But now, see, we want to power up the D-Wave there, which we just did. But you see the D-Wave, it's like it shoots in the opposite direction that you're moving, which is a common thing you see in a lot of these shooters. And that helps you take out, like, those green guys. You can take out these laser soft blimps, which I don't understand. Why do the blimps that the bad guys use have the name of the company that made the game on it? I don't get that. So now you see we lost a couple hit points, but now I just got one back. This is like the worst enemy in the game. It's like this gigantic Batmobile, and they always give me a hard time. And the last level in the game, which it calls the final mission, of course, has like a ton of them. Oh man, we're down to, we have 2 hit points left, but there'll be another one of those little power-up ships coming up pretty soon, and I can grab a hit point from them. That's coming up right here. Oh, now I'm down to my last one again. I hate those, whatever those things are. The boss in this level is really not bad at all, if we can get to it. And I mean, we're close, but... I'm just trying to stay away from everything. Oh, here we go. Give me a hit point. Okay, there we go. We got 1 hit point back. So, I mean, the only thing you have to worry about this guy is he shoots these laser beams like that. But it's interesting because, like, you can be right on top of the boss and you don't take damage. So that's it. It wasn't that difficult. It's like the levels are harder than the boss. And then, so that was stage 5. Stage 6, we still want to keep that D-Wave. It's pretty cool pixel art as well. Whoever did the pixel art for this game, very good at doing like flames and explosions. All right, so it's mission 4, but like I said, it's stage 6. And we're not going to change anything, so let's just get started. So this is another stage where the backgrounds, I think, are boring, unless I've got my stages mixed up. No, so you see it's just dirt. So you basically, that's the boss, but he's going to harass you for basically the entire stage. And all you can really do is try your best to avoid getting hit. I feel like the first part of this level, which is right now, is the hardest part. So if you stay all the way over here on the right, the boss won't shoot at you because you're far enough away. And you see I've got the D wave pointed to the left to take care of these enemies that are coming up from the bottom of the screen. But now we got to deal with these guys, and then another one comes out. So then I do have to worry about the boss shooting at me. But now I can go back over here again. I know it's lame to hold down the fire button the entire time, but trust me, it's the best way. And then this level doesn't, I don't think, gives you any more power-ups for the rest of the level. So there's not going to be any chance to refill your health. So I'm trying to be as careful as possible. And then the boss, when you finally do face off against the boss, which is coming up pretty soon, it takes a lot of hits to kill. Okay. Then we're going to get these little tiny guys coming down at us in a minute. Yeah. And then it'll be boss battle time. Yeah, so you see that he's already showing up here now. So, I mean, basically what you got to do is I just stay on one side, and you just got to avoid the bullets that are being shot at you. But see, he just takes like a lot of hits to kill. All right, there we go. So not too bad. But I mean, for a while I couldn't get past that level either because I didn't figure out, because I'm not that smart, I didn't figure out you have to have that D-Wave weapon. Now, according to my notes, I don't remember what the next level looks like, but according to my notes, we want to switch back to the homing missiles. Oh, yeah, I remember the next level is actually a pretty cool level, I think. But I don't think the D-Wave really helps you. But now, under special, sorry, I didn't talk about this before. So the ECM, if you saw, sometimes I hit a button and the screen flashed white. That was like the ECM, which does a very small amount of damage to everything on the screen. The barrier is like, it just makes you invincible for a limited amount of time. And then the Buster is like a gigantic bomb. So we definitely want to use that. Just to me, it's more of like a oh crap button. You know, if you're in deep doo-doo, you can kind of hit that button and it does a lot of damage to everything on the screen. So now again, we have kind of a boring background. And now you've got these lasers that shoot at us, but for the most part, the lasers shoot a fixed angle. Although you'll see there's certain little emplacements in the level where they don't, they follow you. And then you got to kind of watch yourself. But, I mean, overall, I don't think this level is too bad. But we'll see. I'll say that, and then I'll die or something. I'm just trying to avoid the gigantic... So now you have these big brown Batmobiles. But then when we get back to the... or when we get to the last level, if we get there, which is the next level, they're going to be the old color again, like the gray or whatever. And just sort of the same strategy, like destroy everything as soon as you possibly can. Okay, so these are the ones that are going to kind of track you. So again, just, you know, knock them out. And I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but it's pretty easy to dodge these big circles that it shoots at you. And then we just move on. And, you know, I just try to leave this floating around on the screen just in case if I take a hit like I just did, then it was there, so I immediately got my hit point back. But they don't hang out forever. Damn it. So same thing, I was able to immediately get my hit point back. Ah! Alright, I think the boss is coming up. Oh, not yet. You can always tell in this game when the boss is coming up because the game pauses for a second because the CD has to switch tracks. So yeah, here he comes. This guy's not too much of a big deal as long as you're kind of patient. Oh, I just got hit. But we can also use our bombs. You know, it's use it or lose it. Yeah, so again, not that big of a deal, but the next level is going to be a pain. I'll warn you right now, we're not going to beat the game. Barring a miracle, we're not going to beat the game, but I'm happy with how this playthrough is going. So, but I've been practicing, so. I mean, honestly, probably it'd be better to have the lasers for the final mission, but if I switch to the lasers, they're not going to be powered up at all. And, you know, I'm better off not using them. So we're going to go with that configuration, and we'll just see how it goes. Like I said, there's so many of those cars that come down that's what ends up destroying my shields. So again, that's why you want to have this D-wave thing, is so that you can get rid of these green things. See, then here's this stupid car. Oh, I hit the side! I forgot about that. All right, well, we can go ahead and we'll continue once. I totally forgot that you have to watch it and not hit the sides. But, I mean, this is going to be rough because now we're not going to... In fact, actually, I'm going to switch to laser because we're not going to be able to really upgrade the Vulcan to the point that it'll be a spread weapon anyway. So I'll apologize in advance if this sounds annoying. Because we're going to have to use the power up right at the beginning to upgrade the D-Wave, I think that's the smarter play. Yeah. I got hit already. And I hit the side again already. Yeah. It's funny because to me, the canyon level, it's very obvious to stay away from the sides. And I feel like here, maybe just to me, it doesn't seem as obvious. I'm wasting my bombs, but we got to get rid of these cars. And then I'm going to take the hit point back. Oh man, I barely... I hit the side again. You know what? That's enough. You know, if you want to see the rest of the last level, you should play it yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording there. So that concludes the Avenger portion of this episode. But we're going to check out the other two games. Like I said, the other two games are... it's still blue. Are not as good. I'm just telling you right now, they're not as good. So you've seen... There I can go like that. You've seen the best there is to see. So let me put the game back. You know, it's a CD game. I don't want to leave it sitting out. But what I will do is we're going to play the game that I think is sort of the crappiest next. And that, as I already said, is Legion. And I'll talk real quickly about why. I mean, it's not like Bithead was like being real complimentary to the game and I got like, you know, hoodwinked or anything. I just, based on what I saw, I just still kind of felt like I wanted to check it out for myself. But you'll see in the corner there, you see that, sorry, it's out of focus. It says Reno, because this is also renovation. In fact, it says on the back, I mentioned that in Japan it was called Renovation Game. It says right there, Renovation Game. So this one was published by Renovation. This one, at least according to my research, was also developed by Telenet. So I don't know how they went. And this one came out, I can't read my writing, September of 1990. So this one came out 3 months before this one. So as you'll see, whoever made this game was not also working on this game, because this game, I mean, hopefully you share my opinion that that game is awesome. This game is much less so. And I don't know if I already talked about Telenet, so I don't really have much else to say. This one is a horizontally scrolling shooter. You'll see just the one thing I'll mention before we start. It has voiceover at the beginning of every level. And it's interesting because, you know, this game never came out here, but all the voiceover in this game is in English. So I don't know if they were planning on bringing the game out here. But I mean, the voiceover is real weird. I mean, the voiceover, the talent was not very good, but, you know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, people dunk on Hayden Christensen for the way, you know, for his acting in the Star Wars movies. playing Anakin Skywalker. And as some people have pointed out, you know, bad writing can turn a good actor into a not very good actor because they're reading lines that are not something anybody would naturally say. And that's kind of what I think's going on here. Like, I don't know how much I can blame the voice actor in this game because the script is just real bad. So yeah. Okay. So now I got to switch the view back over. Nope. I got this like monitor that has a split screen on it, so I can split screen it and then start the recording and turn the Duo back on. I got to remember to start the recording because I've done that before. Because I'm recording the video in camera, and if I don't remember to actually record the gameplay footage, then I have to redo it, and that has happened to me before. So, not fun. Oh yeah, I forgot. I mean, I think the music during the title screen here is pretty good. But you can see the graphics in the title screen are not very good, and they don't really get any better. You can play this game 2-player. I don't know if it's 2-player simultaneous or not. I kind of doubt it. So my main complaint, thought I heard my cat. My main complaint about this game, which I think is a lot of people's main complaint, is how hard it is. But what's interesting is there's certain parts of the game that are very hard. The beginning of the first level is very hard, and it really requires memorization to a level above and beyond a game like R-Type, which still requires memorization. It's like you have to have your moves basically choreographed, as you'll see. And part of the problem is that the physics in this game are like very unrealistic. Like here in the first level, there's areas where you're going through like this sort of cave, and these rocks will drop down from above, but they don't drop the way something would drop. They shoot at you like a projectile, which doesn't really make sense. So, sorry, just once again, I'm trying to say what I want to say about this game before we start playing it. But, so the thing is, you play the game, and, you know, for some people, I guess it would be very frustrating. I don't know why, but, you know, the first time I sat down to really, like, earnestly play this game, I just was constantly dying in the first part of the first level. And I wasn't even mad. I was just like, okay. And I would just keep restarting it, and learning. And I must have played it for like an hour and a half doing that. And I had fun. And I don't know why, because it doesn't sound like fun, but I had fun. And for that reason, you know, I should hate this game, but I don't. All right. I'm going to be quiet because voiceover's coming up.
In accordance with my orders from the mother ship, I have arrived at the appointed point of 1990 hours space-time. The cave planet, checkpoint on the way to the desert planet, suddenly becomes eerily silent, and I can see only the shadow of the enemy ship. They seem to be busy partying and not to have noticed my presence. Well, sorry guys, but I think I'll just let you tire yourselves out dancing.
So yeah, I don't know what any of that means. So you see, you have like these screen clearing things that you can do, and you can't use them against the bosses, and so you kind of might as well. Yes, I just died anyway because, like I said, you have to. Oh yeah, I just died again. It takes memorization, and so I'm gonna restart it. This is what I kind of wish when I had been playing it for an hour and a half. I almost wish I'd been recording it. Because this is what it's like. You have to remember, like, I haven't played this game in a couple weeks, and so, like, I don't remember where some of the stuff is, and so you end up dying. And, like, those white enemies that fly onto the screen, they move so fast, and they shoot at you multiple times. And, so you just have to, like, know where they're coming from, which is what I'm doing there.
But I think I'll just let you tire yourselves out dancing.
But like I said, so these screen clearing things, you can't use those against the bosses, so you might as well, like I'm going to use one right now, because otherwise I'm going to get killed, because I forgot that those guys come out right there. Oh, I just died. You see how fast the projectiles move? And then I always use one right there to get rid of the turrets down here. That's like the one spot where it's like you can die and it's okay, but you know the key to this game is powering your guy up. And so that now we're past the part in the first level where it's like really hard. Like the rest of this first level is kind of not really that big of a deal. Not to say I won't die again because I haven't played this in a while. These missiles are completely useless. They're not homing missiles. They just fire, I just died again. They just fired in a downward direction, like R-type missiles. So they don't really help you that much. All right. And I mean, this is how I play the game. So that's why I'm showing you is just like, this is what this game is like. And it's, you have to play it for a while, and then, you know, maybe you'll get into a groove. But I mean, I'm not going to play this game that much longer. I'd rather play Hawk F-123, but it's better if you wait and let that get in between those two things so you can grab it. Now, you can shoot, if you know where a boulder's going to drop, you can shoot them while they're still attached or whatever. No, thank you. Ugh. I mean, your ship also moves kind of slow. That's not really helping anybody. So, like I said, I'm not going to play this one that much longer. This is just not a game I would recommend to anybody. Oh, now I'm out of screen clearing. But so you see now we've got like a three-way shot, and which is pretty helpful. See if I can get to the end of the you get to the end of the level. The boss is a real pain in the butt too, but I mean the rest of this level is just not that difficult. I don't know why I'm only getting audio out of one ear. So I don't know if this game's in mono. I'm only hearing audio in one of my ears right now, and I'm looking up at the mixer, and it's only getting audio in one ear. So I might just, you know, take the two channels and mix them down to single mono channel so that it doesn't sound weird to you guys. This wall comes down, so you got to get in front of it. I don't know. Well, that wouldn't do it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to mess with it. This is the first time I've ever played the game with headphones, so this may just be a mono game that only comes out one channel. So the first thing you got to do is take out the guns on the side, but then like see these things, they just kind of rotate around and shoot at you randomly, but you can only damage the ship when it'll stop, and then it shoots that big cannon. That's the only time you can damage it. But if you hang out in front of the ship, you're kind of asking for trouble. So, I mean, it's just not a well-designed game, I would say. And for some reason, you know, maybe I hate myself. I still find some enjoyment in it, but it's not easy to for that to be the case. This game also doesn't give you unlimited continues, but I mean, do you really want them? Now you can choose which path you want to take. Artificial Planet sucks. Battle Cruiser is okay.
Even if I have to deviate from my planned course and go the long way round, that's still better than trying to break through the center of the enemy fleet. There aren't even any important bases in this area, and I'll bet the enemy can put up a good fight if he has to. That's when it happened. It appeared on the radar screen.
Listen to this.
What a shock. What's going on here? Hanging around in a place like this? As the father of a daughter myself, I'd better teach her some more ladylike manners.
What does that even mean? All right, and this is the boss. Machine Nest. It's a pretty stupid boss. You see, there's like just these little parts on it that are flashing white when I hit them. You just have to shoot those, and yeah, and they take a lot of shots. But you can't, I mentioned that already, right? You can't use the special weapon on the bosses, which just makes it a lot less useful. I just died out. How about that? I mean, the first boss was like a huge pain. That boss is just boring. I did die once. But it's hard because, you know, if you start moving up and down to avoid the missiles, you risk crashing into the side of another missile. So, and then this level also kind of sucks. But now you start getting better power-ups. But I almost feel like this game will put power-ups in places where it's basically setting a trap for you. Because, like, if you go grab it, you're putting yourself in danger of being hit. But, like, starting with this level, there are shield power-ups that you can pick up. But, like, you know, how was I supposed to... There you go. There's the shield, but... Yeah. So when you first start, you know, and you come back from being dead, you flash for a while and you're, like, invincible. But that also means you can't pick up power-ups. So that's pretty stupid. But yeah, like right there. I mean, I guess maybe missiles are more useful in this stage because you do have more dudes on the ground. But then, like, you don't want to get too close to the ground because there's like those big snake things that come out of the ground, like tremors or something. So you got to be real. You want to stay away from the ground, but then you kind of want to stay away from a lot of places in the sky because there's those things that come in at like a 45-degree angle. It's really distracting having it only come out of one ear. So I don't know if option is just like the screen clearing thing, because like I don't know what else it would be. Oh, I didn't want that at all. So I didn't mention that. There's 3 different weapons you can get in this game. The red one is the good one. Because that turns into a spread weapon and a laser and whatnot. And so, like, get away from me. So that's, like, good stuff. So the homing missiles are... You would think that would be cool. It's not cool at all. That's laser with a Z up in the corner there. I think now we're just cruising over to the boss battle. I'm not sure. But I want some water. Of that, I'm sure. And then this boss coming up, like, I don't know what's going on with the hitbox, but so this boss, it comes out of the ground and goes back into the ground, and you cannot be anywhere near it or you die, even though, like, I'm sure if I took screenshots or whatever and looked, I wasn't anywhere near it. But, I mean, I guess as long as you know that. Is this guy going to come over here or what? You can only shoot him in the head. I don't know why he doesn't want to come get shot in the head. Sorry, I know that doesn't sound pleasant. Oh, yeah. Okay, that was legit. Like, I was definitely in his path. Oh, I almost died, but I got him first. All right, so here you can go to Phagocytic Space or Double Deck Fortress. The first one, to me, seems like a ripoff of Gradius 2. I forgot what Double Deck Fortress is like. Let's check that out. I feel like this is already more time than I should be spending playing this game.
The message
but
from the mothership leaves off in the middle. It's 4610 hours. The last order from the mothership went like this. The Imperial fleet is headed to invade the home planet of the Federation. The main ship will immediately proceed to render assistance. Your ship is ordered to immediately attack the enemy satellite base, which is now sparsely defended. The Federation Third Fleet is now on the move toward that space fortress and will arrive in 10 minutes. Respect this order. End of communication.
you see we got our guy pretty powered up, so that's nice. So now it's like a, what is that, a 6-way shot? That's pretty good. We just got our shields renewed or whatever. I don't really need more. I don't think getting more missiles, I don't think does anything. But, so I don't know, I mean, I don't know if you can, you know, if you can appreciate, it's just like, this game sucks, but it sucks in a way that, like, I don't know, I'm having kind of a good time playing it. As dumb as that probably sounds. Now I have the homing missiles, which I hate, so hopefully we can get rid of those soon. Part of the reason I hate them is as long as there's still one of them moving around the screen, you can't shoot again, which is highly inconvenient. Oh, boss battle time. Oh yeah, these guys suck. Yeah. I don't want to continue. That's enough of that. That's Legion. I don't know. Like I said, I would not buy that game again. But you know, I forgot. Oh, I didn't mention the price. So this game, if you want to buy this game now, which you shouldn't, if you hate yourself and you want to buy this game now, expect to pay between $25 and $30. And that's before shipping. And that's probably about, I probably paid, you know, $20-25 for this game. If you go back and watch that Bithead video, you know, bear in mind that video is like 7 years old now. And the prices back then were a little bit cheaper. Sorry, it's very blue. Well, I can do that and do that. And now it's less blue. Okay, so the last game that we're checking out, there I am, is Hawk F123. And I didn't take too many notes. This one came out March of 1992, and it was published by Pack-In Video. And Pack-In Video did some games for the PC Engine. They did a lot of licensed games just in general, including some NES games. But like on the PC Engine, they published Die Hard, Knight Rider Special. Those are licensed games. They did Road Spirits, which is a racing game, not a licensed game. I thought I wrote down on here. I guess not. They did some NES Famicom games ended up coming out on the NES. But Hawk F123 123, I keep saying that, was actually developed by a company called Make, like MAKE, Make Software, and they did a shooter on HuCard called Power Gate, which this is very clearly a follow-up to. The gameplay is very, very similar, and in fact, they share some sound effects. And it's funny, that game is really, like, it really looks bad, like it has very bad graphics. I mean, you play it, it's like not really anything memorable, but I guess it's rare because it's a pretty expensive game. And speaking of expensive games, they also developed Terra Cresta 2, which is like a $500 game. And yeah, that's it. You'll notice, I'll go ahead and turn it back on. You'll notice that this game is very, very similar to UN Squadron. But again, this game was a follow-up to Power Gate. And I think I remember, if I remember when I looked it up, Power Gate and UN Squadron came out close enough to each other that I don't see where either one of them could have been a rip-off of the other. But this is a totally solid game. Again, I would call this a weekend rental. Again, I didn't pay that much for it. I like having it. Bomb Killer, spelled incorrectly there. But I definitely would say it's not as good of a game as Avenger. And then one thing I'll say while the intro here is playing. It happened to me one time, but in case it happens again, where I got to the end of the first level, the game paused for a second to switch the music so that the boss battle could start, and the game just hung up. Only ever happened to me one time, though. Pretty good music. It's like this, that right there just reminds me of Top Gun. All right, that doesn't sound very good. The horns there, it's like MIDI horns. All right, whatever. Come on, let's go. So I'm hitting the buttons. Maybe it won't let me skip it or something. All right, there we go. Now I can skip it. As you'll see when the game starts out, yeah, there you go. See, Make Software, Pack-In Video. When the game starts, your ship moves real slow. You have to pick up speed power-ups, that was not an issue in the last two games we played. Now I'm back to having audio in both ears, so I guess it's just that game was in mono and only comes out one channel. That's kind of bizarre. So these orange planes are the ones that have the power-ups. So that S, we got one speed power-up. But I mean, you can see, even in the background, the environment. You see your power-ups stay on the screen, so you can pick them back up. So that's kind of nice. Very reminiscent of UN Squadron. I don't like that. That's a different weapon you can pick up that I don't want. So. I mean, I don't know how this playthrough is going to go. When I first started playing this game, I had a really hard time with it. And then at some point I just kind of got into a groove with it. And I'm not saying I think the game is super easy, but I think once you kind of get the hang of it, it gets a lot easier. And I mean, even now, that's with 2 speed power-ups, and the plane, I called it a ship, really. It's a plane. The plane feels a lot better. Planes like this that fly in from the other side of the screen, you want to be real careful with, because sometimes they have, like, afterburners. There's, like, a little friend you can get. That's a special weapon. I don't want that. Some of them have afterburners, and if you get behind them, they'll kind of poop it out at you. And, you know, obviously we don't want that. So that H, now we've got some homing missiles, so that's nice. And then I just died. That's not so nice. Again, I haven't played this game in a couple weeks. I've been really playing a lot of Avenger. And, I mean, that's what really kind of made me decide to change how I approach this video. Is it was really meant to be an Avenger video. And all this that we're doing now, you know, to me is just like bonus content. This is a game, I mean, as you may have noticed, I'm not, you know, a lot of times with side-scrolling games, you'd want to stay sort of towards the left side of the screen. But with this game, a lot of stuff comes from the left side of the screen. And so you don't really want to be hanging out over there. These guys definitely have the little afterburners that they poop out at you, so... Oh. Ooh, I think we just got game overed. I don't know what's going to happen. If I game over, it might start me off at the beginning of the level again. That's okay. We can consider that a warm-up. But like I said, I mean, if you get into a groove with this game, it's really not bad. You know, if you get your weapons powered up a little bit. And that's another nice thing about staying in the middle of the screen, is that if you do die, you have a much better chance of picking up your power-ups. If you hang out back here, your power-ups are going to drift off the screen before you have a chance to reclaim them. Again, that orange thing, that's just a weapon that I just don't personally like. I think there's a laser weapon in this game that I think is the best weapon in the game, but I don't think it's available until level 2. Man, my thumb is starting to get sore from marathoning shooters. Again, that's like a special weapon that you use by just pushing the other button. I will take those homing missiles. So I think we're already having a better playthrough this time. I don't remember what that special weapon is, but we'll save it for the boss battle and then see what happens. Oh, it's a shield. Well, that's nice. And that's a warning telling me that my shield is about to expire. I mean, this, I know it's just like 3 planes farting around the screen, but this is the boss battle. Oh, God. We'll be all right. Oh, that's the laser. Well, that's nice, I guess. We're taking so long that I had to start the track over again. I don't know if you heard the music start and stop. Oh. Come back here. There we go. All right, that boss battle didn't go well, but whatever. So that's like a secondary weapon is like this bouncy ball, but helps. And see, now we're powering up our lasers there a little bit. Now we've got multiple bouncy balls. Now we got a little helper there. I kind of hate this part. You get all these bombs coming at you basically from behind. It's kind of a crapshoot as to whether or not you're going to survive it. And as you can see there, I did not survive it. Oh, so that's the orange weapon, which, as I said, sucks. Yeah, it's hard, especially when your ship is slow, to maneuver through those things. I'll use one more continue. At this point, this video is almost an hour and a half long, so. Well, that was quick. Anyway, that's enough of that. I don't know. I think I was doing pretty well with the first 2 games, but that one just didn't go well. But that's the break sometimes. There we go. Okay. Anyway, so that's it. That's Weekend Rental Avenger with tons of bonus coverage of games that are not as good as Avenger. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next episode of Weekend Rental, but I know that it won't be 2 months from now. I still have a little bit more work I need to do on the house, but I mean, literally, it was like I was working 10-hour days on the weekends, working on stuff, and then I was coming home from work on the weekdays and working on stuff. So I literally had no time for the show. And although I do still have some stuff to do, it's nothing like that. So hopefully we should be back on track. I at one point had started working on another magazine read through for the main channel, but again, I had to kind of stop. But I'd like to get back on that. So yeah, that's all I have to say. So that's going to do it for this episode of Weekend Rental. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.